Welcome back to the Saturday Show. I'm Christian Esparza. Alex Napoles with me, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex, we've got a problem. Nobody wants to catch passes for the University of Utah.
Yeah, it's not good.
Zacharias Williams has entered the transfer portal. Tight end Landon King has entered the transfer portal. Both of these guys were talked a lot about during spring ball as playing major roles in the offense as far as basically the top two receiving threats. Somebody, basically got out that Zacharias Williams was supposed to be their number one guy. And then, again, Landon King, a lot of talk about him. After the great tight ends that have played at Utah over the last couple seasons, it looked like Landon King was supposed to be the next up. But no, these guys are hitting the portal after the spring game. And it is funny in a sort of sickening way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That, all of these schools don't want to do spring games because they don't want their talent to get poached because the transfer portal is right around these spring games. So you look at Utah State, you look at BYU, they close it off. Nobody can go watch. Nobody knows what goes on because they don't want teams to hear, oh, so-and-so did good at the University of Utah spring game. Let's go get them in the portal.
And
look
then
at what happened.
And then Utah broadcasted theirs on ESPN.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a surprise that King and Williams have hit the portal then, shortly after. So what is your worry level then? If you are talking about the University of Utah.
I was already
out of 10.
I was already concerned. I was already worried about the receiver depth coming into the season for Utah because, you hear a lot of talked about Zacharias Williams, but even Kyle Whittingham himself said that they were going to be on the market looking for more help at wide receiver. Yet Sly and Bartle talk about, they have number one. They need to bring in number two. They need to bring in a complement for Williams.
So they were already shopping in the portal.
They were already looking in the portal. And then you have your number one jump into the portal.
Yeah. So worry level from 1 to 10.
I think right now, receiver room, it's got to be a 9 for me, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It seems like it's a big area of concern right now because truly, who else is in that receiver room?
You want to hear mine?
Let's hear it.
Like a 3.
Wow.
Or a 2.
Oh,
it does
okay.
not matter.
I know why. Yep, I know why.
It does not matter.
I know why you're going that way.
So you look at what Devin Dampier does.
Yes.
You look at what Jason Beck asked him to do last year at New Mexico. You don't need a special talent at receiver to do this. This is an RPO-style offense first and foremost. Devin Dampier is not going to throw the ball down the field. He does not need a receiver or tight end, for that matter, who can go out, and beat a DB. I was looking through some of his stats, just pulling them up real quick. He averaged, last year at New Mexico, some of his attempts per game, okay? Just going through real quick. 26, 42, 44, 53, 28, 19, 27, 40, 31, 24, 25, 31. So just off of the top of my head, we'll say he averages 28 attempts per game. Does that sound fair? How many games did he have where he threw for over 300 yards? I'll say 250.
That's going to be a low number. I'm going to guess 3.
He had 5 games of 250 passing yards.
Close.
On, again, averaging ballpark 28 attempts per game or whatever. My point being, it's a dink and dunk offense, which is fine. I'm not criticizing that at all. I'm just saying that it does not matter really who's out there as long as they can catch. As long as they can find the soft spot in the zone and catch the ball, that's what matters most. You're not asking these guys to go out and beat a DB and make a huge play because that's not how this offense is designed. There's a reason they brought in Devin Dampier and Wayshawn Parker and, Nate Johnson, for example. This is This is a team that's going to be built from the ground game out. Again, going back to the RPO thing, option 1 is going to be for Dampier to take it and run. Option 2 is going to be to hand it off to Wayshawn Parker. Option 3 is going to be pull it, throw it a couple yards down the field. You know, if you average 3 yards a play, every single play, you're golden. That's what this offense is going to try and do. At least as far as the passing attempts. And again, I'm not criticizing the Utes at all. I'm not criticizing this offense. I'm not taking a shot at them. That's just the way it's designed. And I am curious to see how it works out. I think it could be fun. I think Kyle Whittingham really wants that because that screams clock control and, you know, playing the possession game. And that's exactly what they want to do. That's exactly how they win games. And, you know, the defense is going to be stellar as always. But I'm not worried about Zacharias Williams, who, no offense to him, but it's like, what did he do last year, right? And I know that people said he had a nice spring, and that's cool, and that's fun to talk about. It's a storyline. But I never care about what happens in spring because we see things like this happen.
Well, we saw him starting to trend up towards the end of that season. Especially, I think
right.
He had had a couple of big catches in that game against UCF. And so, I mean, the potential was there.
It is there, but it's not like he was a guy.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Landon King, that one's a little different. He was a guy. And I feel like that one hurts more than Zacharias Williams as far as this offense.
And it hurts more, especially because, you know, you lost a lot of depth in that tight end room this past offseason.
I feel like, again, going back to this style of offense and the way it's going to be called, I feel like the tight ends are more important because, again, they're right there in the middle of the field. It's easy for the running back to make a quick pull and hit the tight end. So Landon King, I'm a little worried about that, but Williams, nah, I'm really not.
I think now looking at the wide receiver room, right, you're going to need a guy like Otto Tia to step up, former Utah State guy.
Big guy, huge catch radius, can catch anything.
I'll be interested to see what happens with Creed Whittemore, one of the transfers that came in this offseason. And I'll be looking at a guy like Zipperer to see what he's able to do and step up and maybe fill up a role. And then same thing can be said about Luca, the wide receiver, and I don't know why I'm blanking his last name. And to see who's going to step up and help out in the passing attack for Utah. But I do agree with you that it is going to be run heavy.
Yeah.
It seems that way.
It does.
Especially knowing that knowing what Devin Dampier did on the ground last season.
Yeah, we're talking about a guy that I want to look at his rushing stats. He had 1,166 yards last year, 19 touchdowns on the ground. Again, 19 touchdowns on the ground. Through the air, 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 2,700 yards. So, yeah, he's not making throws down the field. That's not this style of play. I'm more worried about the defense and how they look to bounce back. They were still one of the top units in the Big 12 last year. Lost a lot of talent to graduation and injury. So there are a lot of roles that need in the transfer portal again, but a lot of roles that need to be filled. But then you've got guys like Smith Snowden. He never entered the portal after some drama and speculation there. But Smith Snowden is going to be a Ute next season, and I'm looking forward to what he can do. Lander Barton, another guy that this should be a really big year for both of those two guys as they look to really, Smith Snowden could be one of the top corners in the country. I feel like he has that potential. And, we'll see what that defense looks like because they're always good.
And I think the most important thing is as far as the ability to hold on to a guy like Smith Snowden in the transfer portal. Because there was a lot.
Yes.
There was a lot going on online throughout the course of the week. And there was some Utah fans worried that Smith Snowden might have jumped into that portal.
I would have been worried too. After everything that's happened, going back to Keanu Tanavasa and how much that stung. And then all the rumors, even before it was Smith Snowden, there were a couple other players that were mentioned as another local school, hitting them up before they're in the transfer portal. We can spend a little bit of time on this even. Like, that's just what it is. It's what college football is, and I'm sorry, but Utah's doing the same thing. I know of a situation that happened with Utah. Like, everybody's doing it. That's all I can say. That's the game that is being played. That's what you have to do to win. And it sucks that it's, the school down the road that is being accused of it, right? I think that makes it a little more personal, especially, again, going back to Tanavasa where they already lost a player to them. But that's just what it is. And Utah's doing the same thing, and that's how they're going to fill these holes.
Everybody's doing it, man. And until, the NCAA or whomever comes in and starts to set rules and regulations, starts to figure out a way to fix the chaos that is the transfer portal, to fix the chaos that is college football, it's just gonna keep happening, man. And there's nothing you can do to stop it.
32.5 attempts per game. I was a little low on my estimate. That's Devin Dampier last year, averaged 32.5 attempts per game. But the yardage was not a very high number. So again, just looking, and I'm not going to lie, I didn't watch every single New Mexico game. I watched the game against Arizona. I watched the game against Utah State. And he did play particularly well in those games. But it's not like I was tuning in to every single one. It just seems, looking at the stats, short throws, run the ball. That's what it is. And I'm excited because it's a change. It's a little different than what we've seen from this Utah offense. And then, of course, I don't want to make it sound boring because it's not going to be boring. The stuff that they do on the ground running the ball, that's where it gets exciting. And I do happen to be a sicko who likes to see how some of that goes down, how creative they can get with the blocking schemes, and just Devin Dampier being electric himself with his legs, and bringing Nate Johnson back and Wayshawn Parker. And this is going to be a big change for Utah. But to sum it all up, not particularly worried about losing the quote-unquote number one receiver, because what does that mean to an offense like this? How much does the number one receiver matter? And my answer would be it doesn't matter at all.
Next man up, man.
Next man up.
Gotta have that next man up mentality. And that's why I think now my attention turns to a guy like Otto Tia to step up and kind of show out in that passing game, man.
Yeah, Tia had some big games for Utah State last year. I personally was a little surprised because he kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But he made some big plays.
I thought Tia did a phenomenal job stepping up when you lose Jalen Royals.
Yeah.
And it makes me excited to see what he's able to do for Utah, knowing what seeing what he did with Utah State last season. And so now my attention turns to someone like an Otto Tia to come in, step up, and make that passing game his, and so hopefully see if he can emerge and make himself that wide receiver one that I think Utah right now is looking for.
Well, it's a little bit of an off season right now, and then we're going to have training camp. And I'm sure that you are going to hear that every single player is the greatest player ever at their position. Not just for Utah, for everybody. It's crazy, all the talent that we're seeing in football right now. It's just there's never been more great football players, and that's all you're going to hear throughout the summer for Utah State, Utah, and BYU. And, heck, even Arizona and Iowa State and Colorado, just all these good football players, man. It's crazy. There's not a single bad player on the team. So we'll see how the summer goes, and then, the games will come in the early fall.
Is it August yet?
Not quite.
I'm ready, man.
I am ready, but I also need a little bit to continue to decompress before we
that is true.
Undergo that gauntlet, because it does get pretty crazy once we hit football.
That is true. I need to have a true break before we get to the football season, and I'm hoping that comes in in June.
All right, let's take a break. Coming up next, RSL making a couple of big moves. Finally, we'll talk about that next. This is the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles with me as always. Alex, they did it. Real Salt Lake, they made not one move, not two moves. Was it three?
They tried to make three.
They tried to make three, but the third one never happened, right?
Yes.
So they did make two moves. At the deadline, right after it was announced that they had a new owner. Probably not as big of moves as we were hoping, but they are moves nonetheless.
Well, look, man, last week I said, look, man, the DP striker was on the way. The DP striker landed in Utah. He toured the facilities. The documents were there to be signed, and then Boavista, who is the club across seas, from which he was coming from Portugal, decided to add some last-minute stipulations, decided to increase the transfer fee that was initially agreed upon, and ultimately Real Salt Lake didn't like the additional things that were added to the deal at the very end, and so ultimately Real Salt Lake said, we're good. We're going to pass. So there's an open DP spot for Real Salt Lake to play with in the summer. We'll see what happens.
Tale as old as time.
How
do you say his name? Bozenic? Bosnick?
Yeah.
I was reading that he was really excited to come to Real Salt Lake.
He was, and I felt
that's the part that kind of stings.
I feel super bad for him because he was here. He loved the facilities. It seemed like all the conversations he had with the club while he was here were really, really positive, and he was excited for the move. At 25, there's a ceiling there. There's a potential there, and I think a lot of the fans were excited for the potential, man.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the deal falls through, and so Real Salt Lake have to turn to plan A, B, C, D, or whatever it was at this point, and they have to make a quick trade for Willie Agata, who is formerly from Sporting Kansas City and has MLS experience, is probably now your first choice striker coming into the season now, and then also free agent Johnny Russell, who was a thorn in Real Salt Lake's side for many, many, many years.
I do remember hearing his name, not in a good way.
He always scored against Real Salt Lake. No matter what happens, no matter what game it was, he always found a way to score against RSL. But now he's a part of Real Salt Lake, so the fan base is looking to embrace him with open arms. But those are the two signings that Real Salt Lake made. They wanted three.
Both from Sporting Kansas City, by the way.
Both from your rival, Sporting Kansas City. And then they wanted three, ended up making two because their designated player deal for Robert Bosnick fell through at the last moments.
So, okay, I'm going to ask you a couple questions for our listeners who don't know. When does the next window open up to make moves?
The next window will open up on July 24th for the summer window, and it will close on August 24th for the summer window. It's, the summer window is a good opportunity for MLS clubs to make some bigger moves because that's when the European market opens up.
Yeah.
And so it kind of lines up where you have that ability to get good, top stars from across seas from the bigger leagues. And so maybe better opportunities for Real Salt Lake to fill in that DP spot will become available in the summer. We'll see.
And these two players they just got, when are they able to join the team?
They're already there.
And they're able to play like today?
They're able to play today if Real Salt Lake chooses to do so.
Right. Cool.
They are in San Diego, available to play. They haven't trained with the team, barely.
Yeah.
Willie Agata had one session on Friday or yesterday.
I heard Pablo talking about this yesterday with DJ and PK.
Yeah, man. And so we'll see how much they play, if they play. But they are in San Diego with this team and available if necessary.
Awesome. Well, let's hope that they see some major contribution from either of those two because they need it.
It's been a disappointing season so far as the attack goes, and we'll see if Real Salt Lake is able to figure it out.
RSL playing tonight, 5:30 against San Diego FC, as you mentioned. Pregame show, 4:30 here on The KSL Sports Zone. Let's switch gears. Let's go NHL playoffs. And again, it's unfortunate that our Utah Clubbers are not in the race this year.
Clubbers.
It's catching on. It is.
It is. I've seen it online. I think Sergachev posted it, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's legit. You can't make fun of me. Anyway, let's look at some of the action. We got a game going on right now. We've got the Lightning and the Panthers. Old-fashioned Florida matchup. Is there a name for that rivalry, Sean?
It's just the Battle of Florida.
Battle of Florida?
Kind of basic,
lame. Yeah, it's too basic.
Battle of Ontario as well going on.
Oh, man. Well, so first off, Florida leads Tampa Bay 1-0 right now. 8 minutes left in the first period. There was a huge fight last night in the Canadiens-Capitals game. That was awesome. The Canadiens ended up winning 6-3. They lead. Washington leads the series 2-1, though. But, man, it was like a bench-clearing fight. The players were really just hamming on each other, and the ref was right in the middle of it, too. I think he might have got hit a couple times, but that was wild. And then last night in double overtime, the Devils beat the Hurricanes 3-2. Carolina leads that series 2-1. And then the Oilers beat the LA Kings 7-4. LA leads that series 2-1. So that's funny. Looking at all those series, all the teams leading the series lost last night. So that's just a funny tidbit of information. But again, Florida leading Tampa Bay 1-0 right now. Still to come, the Wild will play the Golden Knights. Minnesota leads that series 2-1. The Senators will play the Maple Leafs again today. Toronto is up 3-0 there, so they could get their sweep. And then wrapping up the night, the Stars and Avalanche. That has been a really fun series. Dallas leads that one 2-1. The Avalanche, fun story there. They've got this player, Landeskog, returning to the lineup after missing a couple years because of a knee injury. He was a key part in their championship run, I believe. And he had kind of a freak accident where he collided with one of his own teammates. The skate cut a tendon in his knee, and he ended up having to have multiple surgeries, missed like 2 years because of it. So it's nice to see him return to the lineup, and he's been making some contributions there for the Avalanche. We'll see how they wrap up the series. The Stars made a big move at the trade deadline, and they're one of the favorites to win the Stanley Cup.
Look, man, I've loved the physicality. I've loved I guess just the feeling that every moment and every single second of every single one of these series is a super important moment, right? I don't know if I necessarily feel that watching the NBA playoffs. The NHL playoffs has been a different story. It has been intense, it has been physical, and it's been awesome to watch from the get-go. And hockey's amazing, man. I don't know why I didn't get into this sooner.
Playoff hockey really is something else.
It's a whole different level.
And it's funny because even the NBA, I mean, we've heard talks throughout the week of the NBA playoffs. People, tune in because it actually is enjoyable to watch NBA basketball. But the NHL makes the same type of jump. And regular season hockey is fun to watch. But then the playoff hockey, just the atmosphere, again, going back to that fight in the Canadiens game last night. Like, you just see things like that. It's important to these guys. It matters. The tensions are high. They just want to go out there and punch you in the mouth, put the puck in the back of the net.
Quite
literally, yeah.
Punch you in the mouth.
Some good news for the Utah Hockey Club, even though they are not in the playoffs. They've got some players that are set to participate in the World Championship coming up pretty soon. Logan Cooley, Michael Kesselring, and Clayton Keller will be representing Team USA, and then goaltender Karel Vejmelka will be representing the Czech Republic, I believe it was. So, yeah, that's great. Obviously, with the Stanley Cup playoffs going on right now, those world rosters are a little thin. It's not quite the level of talent that we saw during the Four Nations face-off, but any time that you get your players able to put on the jersey, the sweater, with their country's name on it, that's very special for them, and especially a guy like Keller, who was kind of overlooked when it came to the Four Nations face-off. A lot of people felt like he should have been on that roster. I think he felt like he should have been on that roster. He's going to get an opportunity to kind of go out and prove everybody, play with a chip on the shoulder there. So that's going to be fun.
I think the wildest thing for me so far in this NHL playoffs is the Kings taking it to the Oilers, man. I think everybody thought that the Oilers were, one of the contenders for the Stanley Cup Finals, but the Kings saying, no, look, we're coming for you, man. And it's been fun. 7-4 the last game.
7-4 is high scoring.
High scoring affair. All of them have been high scoring. You had 6-5 Kings take the first game, 6-2 in the second game for Kings, and then this last one the Oilers win 7-4. And that series, I think so far for me, has been the funnest to watch.
I do like McDavid, which is funny because it sounds like a lot of people don't like him from the hockey people that I talk to. I don't know if it's like a LeBron James situation where you either love him or hate him or what, but I think McJesus is the coolest nickname ever in sports.
What?
McJesus. I love it. I think that's awesome for as corny as it is. Come on. That's cool. Again, hockey, all-time nicknames. Like the Great One. Are you serious? The Great Eight? Love it. So I do like McDavid. I think he's fun to watch. I think it would be good for the NHL if they make another finals push this year because he is one of their big stars and they made it to the finals last year and they lost. So it would be cool to see him finally make it over the top. Speaking of Connor McDavid, personally, I like the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think just it starts with learning the league, right? It kind of starts with the logo, and I hate it. But it's like looking at the logo and the colors and like how these teams play. That's what makes me like the Lightning. And I don't know how far they're going to go. They're down 2-0 in the series against Florida, so they could end up getting swept. But I like watching them play. I know there's a lot of fans of the Florida Panthers. The Golden Knights, obviously, closest team to us besides the Colorado Avalanche. They've got their cult following, the Golden Knights do, so that's fun. Austin Matthews with the Toronto Maple Leafs. There are a lot of fun, big names to watch in these NHL playoffs.
The Golden Knights, they've been struggling a little bit against that Wild. That Wild team came out of nowhere, man.
Which is so funny because, admittedly, the only times I watched the Minnesota Wild play this year is when they were playing the Utah Hockey Club, and the Utah Hockey Club owned them.
Oh, yeah.
I think they win twice, or I think Utah won 3 times, and then Minnesota won once.
Right.
And so Utah had their number, but realistically, the Wild are like one of the top teams in the West. So that is funny. It would be cool if they make a run, and then Utah fans can be like, "Hey, we beat them."
And watching these playoffs too, it's insane to me how much talent and how many good teams are in this Western Conference, in the Western Conference, man. The Jets, the Stars, the Avalanche, the Wild, the Knights, the Kings, the Oilers, the Flames. Those are all very good hockey teams.
Yeah, these top teams are, head and shoulders above the teams that did not make it. Alex, we do have some breaking news, though, and I love it and hate it.
Ooh.
And I'm so glad that Parker is not producing the show today because he'd be back there doing his little fist pump, talking about the Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs have just drafted wide receiver Jalen Royals in the 4th round of the NFL draft. I hate it.
Oh.
I hate that I get to see the Chiefs draft one of my favorite local players. The Raiders draft one of the best players in this draft. No, but for real though, like Jalen Royals going to Kansas City, one of the best situations possible. Phenomenal offensive mind, with Andy Reid. Greatest quarterback in the league, throwing him the ball. They do have some receiving talent there already in Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. They both have some legal issues that they're kind of dealing with that could see them miss time with suspension, potentially. Rashee Rice is also coming off a torn ACL. So I do think Jalen Royals is going to have an opportunity to contribute in year one. And I'm excited to see how they use him because I truly think Jalen Royals, probably not a first-round talent in this draft, but he should have gone as high as round 2. he did a lot of great things for Utah State. He's got great size, really good speed as well. He can catch anything. He's like a sneaky good red zone target too, and a lot of people don't realize that. So I love it and hate it.
As far as the local Utah picks go, I mean, obviously you have Jackson Dart getting taken in that first round, but as far as the local schools go, Utah, BYU, Utah State, this is their first guy off the board, man.
First guy off the board. Scheme-wise, it's a great fit.
I love it.
I hate that he's not going to my Broncos. I hate that he's probably going to have big games against Denver every year. But, cool for him. He's realizing his dream of getting drafted, and so that's great.
4th round, 133rd, not bad for Jalen Royals.
Next up, I guess we'll see Tyler Batty, Junior Tafuna, some of the other local names that could possibly get called today. We'll see if they are called before the end of the show. I'd be a little surprised. If Jalen Royals fell this far, I'd be surprised if Batty or Tafuna were drafted before like the 6th or 7th round, if I'm being honest with you. But I'm glad that if you have, again, going back to Royals supposedly being a second-round talent, and then the second round comes and you don't go, and then the third round comes and you don't go, and then you have to sleep overnight. I'm sure there's a lot of anxiety that he has to deal with about, what's going on, why am I falling? So it's good for him to finally hear his name called, and man, just imagine the feeling of hearing your name called to an actual good organization, right? Like, what a sigh of relief it must be for an offensive skill player to be drafted by the Chiefs.
Absolutely.
It probably feels so good.
Hey, anybody call Shador yet?
Not that I know of.
Oh, okay. Just making sure.
You'll probably hear an alarm or like some sort of, party or an air horn or something. Big party. Looking at the NBA playoffs real quick before we go to break. Cleveland is up 39-27. Second quarter, 8 minutes left. So we'll see how the Cavaliers do in that. Again, they lead that series 2-0. Let's hit a break, though. Coming up next, we will wrap up the show, another edition of the Saturday Show, 97.5 DKSL Sports Zone. Wrapping up another edition of the Saturday Show, 97.5 DKSL Sports Zone. Alex, I have a question for you.
I might have an answer.
Did you see, this isn't my question, this is a pre-question. Did you see the number that Zach Wilson is going to be wearing for the Miami Dolphins?
I did see that, yes.
How do you feel about a quarterback wearing number 0?
Let him do it.
They should have blocked it. They should have said no.
I don't care.
They should have said, Zach, you have spent so much time rehabbing your career, trying to get back on track, and you're going to lose all that progress by wearing number 0.
I think it's fine, man. It's a jersey number.
Did you see what Ryan Fitzpatrick said?
I did, yes. And look, I love Fitzpatrick. I love his media personality that he's created for himself now in the whole Fitz magic,
Yeah.
shtick. I enjoy that. It's fun. It's funny. But he's taking it too serious, man.
No, he was joking.
Oh, he is joking.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, then boom! Fitz magic, baby. Let's go.
No, he's certainly joking. Just like me. Like, I really don't care that he's wearing
exactly.
number 0.
I don't understand why we're making this such a big deal.
Because it looks dumb, I think, on a quarterback. But oh well.
Yeah, let him wear whatever he wants. If he's gonna come, you're probably gonna see him 2-3 games this year.
Maybe 12. I don't know.
I guess we'll see where Tua's health is, but.
Yeah, we never talked about this on the show. I like it for Zach. Of course, I do think I selfishly would have liked for him to stick around as the backup in Denver. But I think spending a year with Sean Payton and learning how to play quarterback with no stress, I think is going to do great things for Zach Wilson's career. And I hope he gets an opportunity in Miami. And I hope that he shows how much he has improved because I'm excited to see that.
Have we ever seen a quarterback wear 0? I don't think we have, right?
No, because they just made.
Oh, that's right.
They just made that rule a couple years ago, and yeah, since then nobody has worn 0. Typically, you see it with like DBs and like edge rushers.
I think when edge rushers and like linebackers have 0, I think it looks cool.
I can't think of any offensive player off the top of my head that wears 0.
We're gonna get our first.
We get our first.
And a guy with local ties in Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Again, man, I think everybody kind of trying to make this a big deal. Let the man wear whatever he wants. Let him wear whatever he wants to wear.
Oh, Parker, I hate you, Parker.
Oh, what Parker
He texted me, I'm so glad we can beat you even in the off season. Come on, Parker. In case you missed it, the Kansas City Chiefs just drafted Jalen Royals out of Utah State. So big get for the Chiefs, big get for Jalen Royals. Going to one of the best organizations in the league. Happy for him. Not happy that I have to see him twice a year.
Congrats, Parker.
Congrats, Parker, yeah. Hope you're still crying about losing the Super Bowl, Parker.
Another weapon for Patrick Mahomes, man. That's exactly what they need.
Coming up on the schedule today here on The Zone, Sean is sticking around. He's going to be producing the Salt Lake Bees versus Oklahoma City. That game is at 1. And then coming up later today, Real Salt Lake, as we mentioned earlier, they are in San Diego. 4:30 pre-match show. First kick is at 5:30. How's RSL going to do today, Alex? Win or loss?
They need to bounce back. They need some type of better performance. Right now, not playing their best soccer on the road. It's going to be a tough game.
Tune in again, 4:30 pre-match show here on The Zone. That's going to be both signals. Thanks for listening. 97.5 DKSL Sports Zone.